Hello. Hello. I'm just going to wait for a small audience to build before we get going here. I hope my sound is okay. I want to see what you guys are saying, and now they've changed how this works. Say something, write something, type something so I know. There you go. Michael Johnson is first. Second comment's always a good one. Paris High. Clifford Noga. I didn't think they'd let people like that have Facebook. You guys are just obscene. Obscene. Right, go on. Start throwing your questions at me. And, hi Ryan. How you doing? What I'm doing here right now is I'm just getting up a list of people who I want to talk to you about. Because the UKIP leadership and NEC ballots have been going out today, landing on people's doorsteps today, and they will be, I guess, tomorrow and the day after too. And while I don't presume to tell you guys how to vote, a lot of you have been asking me privately how you should be voting. And so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that, but I want to talk to you a little bit about what you care about too. So, no, I haven't had a few beers yet, Tom. That is after this live stream. It's only 4:30 in the afternoon here in Washington, D.C. Oh, my computer's making noises, and shut that up. Darren, a little bit late for that, I'm afraid. Hi, Kaz. Mel C, no, Nigel has not been talking to the Tories behind the scenes. I know the Star and the Express came out with this story yesterday, I think it was, that said, Nigel talking to Tories or doesn't want to rule it out or whatever that is. And then you go and look at the video and he fully rejects it. All he said was, that gave them this little bit to go on, was let's see how the Conservative Party handles Brexit. And I think we all want to see how the Conservative Party handles Brexit. That's not to say that we would join, but there you go. That's how the media works. And speaking of the media, my phone has been ringing non-stop since Saturday because I had a really, really exciting day on Saturday, as you know. Yeah, I had a really big steak. No, that wasn't it. What else did I do on Saturday? I got a hat. It's a red hat. It wasn't it though either. Anyway, it'll come to me. Thanks Natalie Shea for liking my glasses. Hi Chris. Thanks Leslie, who says I was good on RT the other day. So on and so forth. There you go. So first things first, I want to get this out of the way, and it's the reason I'm live streaming with you guys. Thanks, Paris, for the UKIP leadership ballots. This is a really, really important vote, and I've come to think of it as a referendum in and of itself. It's a referendum on where we want the UK Independence Party to go. Do we want it to be more of the same, business as usual? Do we want people in charge who are more concerned with their paychecks and keeping their buddies in positions of power? Or do we want something different? Do we want more direct democracy in our party? I think you know where I'm going with this. So I'm not going to patronise you too much. People are asking me where my poppy is. There you go. But it's after Armistice Day today. Kitchen cupboard's disappointing. Yeah, it's only a temporary flat. I will be voting, and I'm not going to tell you how to vote, but you may take something away from this. I will be voting. You would not believe it. My phone just rang. It was Nigel Farage. That's why the phone started ringing, and there was a pause. I'm just going to turn the ringer off here in case he calls again. He'll have to wait, because I'm talking to you guys. So I'll be voting for John Rhys-Evans. I think John has the best ideas. I've seen his manifesto. I've seen the way he is approaching this election, and of course, He's not doing the hustings, and I think I would have probably done the hustings, but I see where he's coming from. These were things that they were trying to stitch up from day one. Of course, the people telling him to keep a lid on it and not to rock the boat and all this kind of stuff. They wanted it to be a coronation for Paul Nuttall. And frankly, while I like Paul as a human being, I don't see him as a party leader. I don't think he'll galvanise much of the country behind him. I don't think he'll stray from the norm, the establishment thing that they want UKIP to be. And so I look at the rest of the field. Suzanne Evans, definitely. I got stuck on loop there. Definitely not. And so we have John Rhys-Evans. And that's not, by the way, that's not an endorsement by process of elimination. John's ideas are keeps ringing. Give me 1 second. Sorry, guys. Somebody says, "How can you reject Nigel's call?" And I will get back to him straight after this ballot. John, I've watched how he's doing things. He's doing things differently, and I think right now we do need to be rocking the boat. I certainly tried, and look how they treated me, and look how they're treating him now. I don't agree with people, Stuart Thompson, by the way, I don't agree that Nuttall will be a disaster, but I do think that the party would stagnate, if not shrink, and I do think he would put people like Neil Hamilton and Suzanne Evans right at the top of the party, who in and of themselves are disasters. So Nuttall's not the bad thing in there, but his team, the people he's putting around him, I'll go... Nasty people. So there you go. I'll be voting for John Rhys-Evans. I'm not gonna tell you what to do, but I hope you do too. And I think at the very least, if enough people vote for him and he comes a close second, or comes second, or who knows, if he wins, but even if he comes a good second, it will really, really put a rocket up the UKIP establishment. And there is a UKIP establishment. Don't think that just because it's UKIP, they're all anti-establishment and, they hate being on the political scene and at the parties and all of this stuff. I mean, there are people running in this... Oh, fuck it, I'm just going to say it now. I don't care, I'm not running. Suzanne Evans goes to these spectator parties and swirls her drink around and that's not the type of person we need in charge of the party. I also don't think... Paul, he may be a good fit for a very, very small concentrated area in the north, but look, I hate to say it, the Scouse accent, it repels people in everywhere but the north that isn't Liverpool. So I just don't buy that argument that we need him because he's a northerner. And also, I've said this before, it's so patronising for us to say, to attract northerners, we have to have somebody with a northern accent. I think that's not a thing. So it's JRE for me, John Rhys-Evans, and I hope you will join me in returning him as UKIP leader. I think he's certainly gonna shake it up, and I'm not sure that he'll ever be the candidate at the parties in Westminster. But now we're on to something else. And that thing else is the NEC elections. So it's tough because there are a lot of good candidates. There are also a lot of bad candidates. So what I've done here on my laptop, I have typed up some people that I will be voting for. I've actually not yet whittled it quite down to 7 people. I think it's 7 I get to vote for. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. And I've also typed up a few names who I would never vote for if they paid me. I wouldn't vote for them if an asteroid was about to fall on my head and they were the only people that could save me. Number 1, who I am thinking of voting for is Richard Bingley, guy I had a very long chat with, somebody I've known for a couple of years who's written for Breitbart London, really great guy in the security sector. So I will be thinking about him very hard. I've got 9 here, so I'll have to drop 2. The next person I will be considering is Alan Craig, a good Christian UKIPper, and it would really put one up Suzanne Evans to vote for him. The next one I will be considering is Katie Fanning, who has been an excellent proponent for young independents in the party, and somebody who really has some great ideas for where the party, and specifically NEC reform, needs to be happening. The next is George Constantidis. I can't pronounce it. I'm sorry, George. George Constantidis, who has been an excellent person for the party in the east of England, and very supportive of me and very supportive of NEC reform. The next one, Alan Love, absolutely great guy, who came to my launch in Westminster, and we talked at length about what he believes in his plans. I think NEC reform very, very high up there, but also, these people are Faragists, and that's what I'm after, quite frankly. Mick McGough, very old friend of mine. Mick once delivered me to the UKIP office a box full of ties. So he bought my vote. No, I'm kidding. Mick is a conservatarian, a conservative and libertarian, nicely rolled into a cuddly Santa Claus-looking package. He's a fantastic guy. He's always opposed the splitters and the dividers on the UKIP NEC, and he's been very vocal about it too. So he is great for me. The other person, Paul Oakley. Again, very hard-working activist, been around forever. The next one for me is Anish Patel. Anish is an extremely hard-working guy. He's always at the elections and by-elections and campaign canvassing, but he also really knows what's going on out there with regards radical Islam. I'm sure he wouldn't mind me telling you, he lives in East London. He sees it all around him, and so Anish Patel. And then the last one is Ryan Waters, and Ryan is an absolutely fantastic guy. And again, another Faragist, another NEC reformist, and so Ryan is the man for me. Now, there are some red lines. There are some red line people, some people that you can't, well, no, I'm not going to tell you how to vote. I can't vote for. Number one is Victoria Ailing. I love the woman, but she's running for a seat in Parliament now, so I think the votes for her would not be counted, unfortunately. So Victoria is not out because I dislike her. She's out because I don't believe she is eligible, and I don't want to see that wasted. Those votes wasted. Okay, Steve Crowther cannot be on the National Executive Committee. Steve Crowther has been the chairman for so bloody long now, and it would be the same old, same old. He is a nice guy to have a drink with in a pub. And that's in fact how I met him at a UKIP conference a couple of years ago. But he is not a reformer. He is not a forward thinker. He is a don't rock the boat kind of guy. Somebody has been very not nice to me privately, and it's gotten back to me, and that's why he's off my list, and that's Peter Harris. I have heard he's called me all sorts of things, including a thug, of which I have no such thing. So he's off my list. Richard Hilton, who I thought had gone back to the Conservative Party. In fact, I'm pretty sure he did, until Diane stepped down as leader and he thought he'd get another sniff. He is one of the worst people I've ever met in my life, and so he will not be getting my vote by any stretch of the imagination. Rob McWhirter, somebody who I find to be just incredibly untalented. The man was on once came to me and said, "Oh, I am on the technology board of the NEC, and therefore you may not put out emails from the party." And this is when I was tasked with putting out emails from the party without consulting me. Which is an absolute nonsense, that during an election campaign, fundraising emails have to go through a board. And he was very, very mean-spirited about it, and got in my face, and then I got back in his face, and he swiftly backed off. And the last one is Piers Walkup, who is one of the reasons I dropped out of the leadership race, because he told somebody that as returning officer in the leadership election, he was going to make my life a living hell. I think he is a crooked person, quite frankly. I think he is a Carswellite and a Hamiltonite, and so I couldn't vote for him at all. Somebody has just said to me that the Peter Harris that called me a thug may be a different Peter Harris to the one on the NEC election list. I don't know. I didn't know there were two Peter Harrises. Harrison? So I don't know. But just to be on the safe side, I wouldn't put my tick in the box. So recap: Bingley, Craig, Fanning, Constantin, Love, McGough, Oakley, Patel, Waters. And those are my people. And for those of you tuning in late, it's JRE for me, John Rhys Evans. And I think, and I hope you will all give him your support. So now that's over with, I'm going to do a 10 minutes Q&A about my trip to New York with Nigel. So ask away. Oh, and I'll be posting these recommendations to my Facebook page. Here you go, Dougaled. Here's the poppy. Tristan Shale asks, what about Moncrief? I can't say I know him well enough. Dan Jukes is spelling out Constantinidis. There you go, Constantinidis. I just need to, I need to say it a couple of times over. Sam Allenby says, you'll have to get Donald in a live stream soon. Yep, I think so. I was very tempted to ask him if I could live stream from inside his living room, but then I thought better of it. Stuart Thompson says, did Donald grab your beard? He did not grab my beard. Attica Chowdhury says, how golden were the doors? They were the most golden doors you ever saw. Tom William Stewart, who paid for the dinner in the Big Apple? Well, we went to Smith & Wollensky's, which I'm told is a bad place to go, but it was the only place that could seat us, and I believe Aaron paid. Brian Burt asks, will Trump force May to involve Nigel Farage? Look, I think that he has to be diplomatic. I think he has to do things not the establishment way, but certainly not turn it on its head completely. So I don't know about forcing, but I reckon he would like to have Nigel involved. Ryan Jones asks, how much in private did Donald and Nigel get on? I mean, they were sitting there together, just eye to eye, shooting the shit, talking about life, politics, and they seemed to really enjoy each other's company. I mean, Donald Trump was very deferential to Nigel as Mr. Brexit, as the man that really led the earthquake in global politics, and Mr. Trump acted really like the person who was picking up the torch and carrying on the race. Jody Kay says, what was his apartment like? Massive, beautiful, if you like that kind of thing. Everything was very neat and tidy, very gold. Mark Smith, when are we going to see you appear on Question Time? Well, they asked me to be on this week, actually, but I'm in Washington here. Caroline, why didn't Donald offer Nigel a job? Not sure it's appropriate at this point in time. I'm not sure what is going on inside the team. Paris Chapman says, how long are you in Washington, D.C. for? Probably about 4 years. Maybe a couple of months, and then I'll come back, and then I'll come back again. Jan Duke says, Golden Doors, not Golden Dawn. That's correct. Donna Blythe asks, how did you actually feel meeting him? It's a really interesting question, because I thought it's a really big moment, and I thought my heart would be in my mouth, and that I'd be nervous or that I'd say something stupid. But actually, he puts people at ease. I mean, he was so welcoming and so warm and so kind that he just put us at ease straight away. It felt sort of like being in your uncle's house, and we just sat there and chatted really. After the meeting, we all sort of just looked at each other, what just happened? Trying to understand the magnitude of being the first foreign politicians to meet with him. But it was, looking back on it now, it's a moment you'll never forget, right? Glenn Bradbury says, will you tell Donald I will help build the wall? Yeah, I will tell him. William Jones asks, what's Donald really like in person? I hope I just answered that question. Very nice, very charming, very thoughtful. It was very clear that he was, and this was Saturday, so he was still processing what had happened and trying to, I could see in his eyes, he was trying to think of a path by which he wanted to lead, what his priorities were, in what order he wanted to tackle things, but very, very interested in uniting the country. He mentioned that several times. Let's see. Oh, look, there's somebody being abusive, so they're getting blocked. Evening, Louise. Stuart Thompson says, all the wankers in this country were spitting feathers at the picture. Yeah, I should bloody hope so. Philip Quello asks, odds on Nigel being the next president of the European Commission? 1,000,000,000 to 1. Maria Farrington Clifford says, what's the way forward for you now? Where can you see yourself this time next year? I am reliant on you guys in a lot of ways. Of course, I still do the Breitbart London stuff, but I want to do more of this. I want to do more talking to you guys, doing more media, fixing things up, as I did at the weekend, as you know. You guys are my lifeblood. You tell me what to do. Hopefully you'll donate on the page. It helps me promote the page. It helps me get my views out further. It helps me, take taxis to and from BBC studios and Sky News studios so I can tell them off when they need to be told off. They don't always cover things like that. So, it very much depends on what the reception to me is like from you guys. I'm going to start communicating with you guys more and more over email as well, direct emails from me talking about the issues of the week, where we need to be, what we need to be doing, how we can do it, whether it's petitions or protests or whether it's action points like writing to newspapers and things like that. I want to communicate with you guys on that level, and we can really build a sort of momentum kind of thing. Julie Norton says, come on, what did you say to Don? I said a lot of things to Don. Jeanette Paulson says, what was your first impression of DJT's apartment? I was like this. Something like that. Stefan Gowler says, did he have small hands? He didn't have small hands. Raymond Stewart asked, what about the silly media speculation that Nigel may rejoin the Conservatives? I talked about that at the beginning of this live stream. Total nonsense. If you watch the clip that they've put up that is supposed to say that, he says nothing of the sort. Stefan Gowler says, are you there for the inauguration? I certainly hope so. Cliff Dixon says, after meeting him, do you think Donald Trump is the man to reinvigorate a special relationship? It depends. It depends. If he has the best it's clear he has good intentions. It's clear he has good intentions to get along with most people in the world. It really depends on how the British government treats him, and they've treated him pretty badly so far. So if there's a problem, I got to say, it's on our government side. I'm going to scroll through these a little quicker now because I feel like I'm a little behind. Jake Warburton asks, where's the Union Jack? It's actually here. So you see, you guys think you can catch me out with things, but it's actually here. I just haven't hung it up anywhere. I've also got the Make UKIP Great Again flag. Ben Savage asks, when will Breitbart launch a news TV channel? I'm not sure. Jack Smith says, Uncle Donald, the nickname may stick. Reese Owen says, beer or cider? Always beer, never cider. Donald's views on Harambe, asks Harry Palmer. I'm not sure. There were a lot of topics we broached. Harambe was not one of them. Karen McLean says, is Nigel really never going to come back as leader? Actually, we were talking with some people in New York, and he said, look, if Brexit isn't Brexit, then he will come back, and he'll come back with a bang. And by the way, he'll come back in a way, we've talked about it, obviously, in a way you may not expect. And it's not in the Conservative Party. Louise Hollis says, I wish you were still running for UKIP leadership. Well, you know what? There is no one else to blame for that, apart from the people right at the top of the party. Paul Oakton, Piers Walker, and the MEPs, some of the MEPs, you know, the stitch-up that's going on in there is unbelievable, given that it's UKIP. Shane Williams asks, Raheem, what's UKIP doing to push back radical Islam in the UK? Well, this is an issue that I really want addressed, and that's why I think people like Anish Patel need to be on the National Executive Committee, people who get this issue. So, yeah, I mean, it's not doing nearly enough, if anything, right now. Oh, by the way, isn't it, I was pretty chuffed. I think I'm the only person in the world who was inside the Brexit Victory Party and inside the Donald Trump Victory Party. What about that? I might have to write about that one day. It was very similar, by the way, very similar feelings that were going on at the different times of the night. Very similar. Maria Oakman says, hey, Raheem. So, hello. Have I witnessed any of the riots and protests? No, I haven't. I've been safely locked up here in my safe space. In my Washington DC apartment, and the furthest I go is across the road to a pub where I've actually found a semi-decent beer now. So I'm slightly happier about that. Would I run as a Drain the Swamp Leave.eu MP? I'm not ruling things out, but you know, I'm 30 years old. I don't want to be thinking about that right now. Kane Webber, is Aaron Banks still committed to UKIP? I think if Paul or Suzanne wins, the answer is probably no, unfortunately. Stuart Thompson says, tell Nigel we're very proud of him. I will do. Jane Greenwood says, who do you want to win the UKIP leadership? I said John Rhys Evans. Stephen Riley says, apologise for calling me nuts. Well, I don't know. I don't remember calling you nuts, but are you nuts? If you're nuts, then I don't apologise for calling you nuts. If you're not nuts, I'm sorry. I don't remember. Why don't you send me a private message? Let's see. What else have we got here? Marty Kane asks, what do you mean by UKIP now becoming a sideshow? Well, I fear it's going to become a sideshow if certain people are elected leader and if the NEC isn't a good one. And that was me being a little bit pessimistic. I also think that the leadership campaign has been a little bit of a sideshow given what is going on with Brexit and what is going on in global politics. That's not to say that it can't not be that, but I'm worried. I am worried. Let's see, what else have we got? Glenn Bradbury asks, is that a wig Donald has got on his head? No, I don't think it is. I don't think it is. June Winton asks, do you think our government is run by Rothschild puppets? Well, that seems to have a loaded connotation to it. I certainly think our government works with big corporates, and a lot of the times the corporate lobbyists are the ones telling them what to do. But I'm not sure about the Rothschilds. I think that's conspiracy territory. Sam Gould says, JRE for leader, do you agree? Yes, I do. Tynash, did Aaron Banks discuss his new movement? Not with Mr. Trump. He discussed it with me. I'm not going to give too much away at the moment, but you know, it depends on where UKIP goes. It depends whether you guys vote for John Rhys Evans and Bad, NEC candidates or whether whether you do the business. Laurie Brown asks, when are you next on Talk to Me Radio? I don't know. What's his chops? Usually sends me a private message on Twitter and asks John Gaunt. But actually, he asked me 2 days ago if I could get Aaron on for him, so I didn't reply. Jody asks, will Nigel run in Thanet if the result is announced as void because of electoral fraud? I'm not going to put words in his mouth, but I would think not. Jody kisses, can you hear the people sing? Yes, I can. I think there's a video of me singing that somewhere out there. Alison says, I look younger than 30. God, I usually get asked if I'm 40, so thank you for that. Sam Crow asks, what's your opinion of the mainstream media right now after the election? I mean, they've got egg on their faces, haven't they? They said that we were these Russian stooges. Oh dear. Not my mug, a borrowed mug. No, they've got egg on their faces. The pollsters have egg on their faces. The mainstream media has egg on their faces. The establishment has egg on it. So basically what I'm saying is lots of eggs. There's lots of eggs going around on people's faces. But, they look like idiots. Let's see, scrolling through. Andrew Price asks, do you think Paul wants to dislodge Nigel from leader of the EFDD? I know he does. I know he wants that seat at the front of the parliament. I know he wants to get rid of Nigel as the co-president of the EFDD group. I'm very worried about it, not least for the EFTD and UKIP, but also for Nigel. They're trying almost to write him out of history. Rewrite him out of history? Write him out of history. Jack Gill asks, who will you vote for on the NEC? I have talked about it in this live stream already. I'll run back through it with you, but I'll also post it onto the Facebook page. So, I don't know. I've got 9 at the moment. I know I've got to whittle it down to 7. Here goes. Richard Bingley, Alan Craig, Katie Fanning, George Constantinidis, Alan Love, Mick McGough, Paul Oakley, Anish Patel, Ryan Waters. I know I have to drop to... if I'm honest with you, I like him, but I like all the other people more, so I'll probably drop Paul Oakley. Sorry, Paul. I love you. And I'll probably drop... Oh, it's tough. I'll have to think a little bit harder about the next one. This is a good pool of talent here, these 8 people. So 9 people with Paul as well. Sarah DeCosta asks, how old is Donald? He's 70. 70. And he, by the way, he had more energy than I do. Laurie Brown says, give us a wave. There's a wave. Sam Allenby has said, have you spoken to Alex Jones yet? I have not spoken to Alex Jones. Ben Wright asks, does Donald Trump wear American flag themed underwear? I don't know. He didn't show me his underwear. Ben Savage asks, what does Aaron think about John Rhys Evans? Good that he's different, not like the others, likes the direct democracy idea that obviously Aaron's been pushing for a long time, so he feels very positive about him. I'm not going to try and put words in his mouth, but that's just the vibe I got. Lewis White says, could you ever work with Suzanne Evans? It's really tough. I said so. I said I could during the campaign. I believed I could during the campaign, but I mean, she would have to have a lot of contrition. I mean, there would have to be a grovelling apology for the way she's treated me and all of you, quite frankly, and Young Independents, quite frankly, and Nigel. Oh, the list doesn't end. Shnora Oddsey asks, wouldn't it be a mistake to dump Nigel in the Lords? Best place to silence him? Yeah, I think he thinks that as well, by the way, so I'm not sure that he'd take it. Sue Nicholson says, have you fallen out with Gaunty? No, I haven't fallen out with Gaunty. What gives you that idea? Britain, a beacon of hope, says, would you support Marine Le Pen winning? Well, I mean, look at who the others are. She looks like the best to me. Dean Palethorpe says, will you be taking care of Breitbart London while you're in the States? Yes, I will be. David Gossamer asks, what's the future for Breitbart? Huge. Sam Allenby asks, are you on Gab? Yes. I think I'm just Raheem on Gab, but I don't get to Gab as much as I want to. Have I used Bitcoin before? Asked Chris Thompson. No, I haven't. Jody Case, what do I think about Donald's position on climate change? I think he's along the right lines. Sam Crow asks, will Nigel and you be meeting Donald again? I bloody well hope so. Richard Palmer says, you must keep Ryan and Anish. Yeah, I intend to. Basically, the people that I might drop here are Richard, Alan, Alan Craig, that is, George. Yeah, it's between those three. And I think I want to keep Alan, so I might drop Richard or George. But I'm definitely keeping Katie, definitely keeping Alan Love, definitely keeping Mick McGough, Anish, and Ryan. Let's see. Give me a wave, says Kawaja. There you go. Chris Tomlinson asks, did you really make that hamburger the other day? I tweeted this picture of this amazing hamburger, and I can reveal to you now that I absolutely did cook it. I just also happen to be very good at photography, so it probably looked a little better than it did in real life. Right, I'm getting a lot of duplicate questions now. So, Lewis White asks, okay, I'll answer this one. Lewis White asks, how do you first get involved with Breitbart? I got a phone call. The guy said, you never heard of me. I'm Steve Bannon. I'm going to be in London. I've heard that you're the right guy to lead the British version of Breitbart. I said, yeah, I've heard of that. And we met and we got on very well. And we did a 3-month negotiation process. And I took the job. And that's how it happened. Right. I think we're coming to the end of this naturally. So remember, in summary, John Rhys Evans is who I'm going to be voting for leader. I will post the NEC details. I'm not going to repeat myself again. To my Facebook page, make sure you like it, share it. I want more likes. Why don't I have more likes? I want 50,000, 100,000. Make sure you get your friends to like my page, please. That would be really, really great, and it would mean a lot to me, and it would keep me, keep my morale up for doing these live streams. But I always said to you, didn't I, that I would continue them. So I'm continuing them. We got 1.3 million reach this week on my page. So let's keep growing, guys. We are the movement. You are the movement. And I do this all for you guys, for our countries, and for the future of Western civilization. Not to sound too highfalutin about it, but that's what we're doing, isn't it? So thanks. I'm off to the pub, where I'm going to be drinking a nice little beer that I found called Essex. It's a crappy little American bar, but they serve a nice little ale. So I'll be there in 50 minutes. But until then, I'm going to play on my Xbox. Thank you, good night, and I'll see you next time.